Hello, everyone. Welcome. My name is John, and I organize this group, Sit Heads Meditation Club. So Sit Heads is a sitting and social group for people interested in deep meditation practice. If you want to hang out with us and go to our weekly meetups, you can go to sit-heads.com and you can sign up. Everything we do is free and donation-based. We also have a Slack, which is a sort of group chat channel where we talk about stuff. We talk about meditation and practice throughout the day and basically distract each other from our jobs. And if you'd like to be a part of that, I'm going to put the link in the chat right now. There it is. If you just click on that, it'll sign you up to Slack. So at Sit Heads, we have no set teacher, but we do have visiting teachers join us from time to time to do Q&A, visiting teachers like Loch. And we like to, in appreciation for these wonderful teachings that they provide, I do encourage people to offer dana. Dana is donations offered out of a spirit of gratitude, generosity, appreciation for the teachings. So I'm going to put a link for offering dana to Loch's organization, also in the chat. There it is. So having said all that, I would love to introduce to you the wonderful Loch Kelly, Masters of Divinity, LCSW, licensed clinical social worker. Loch is a wonderful teacher of what you might call non-dual teachings or essence teachings, well known for his unique approach to exploring and sharing non-dual awareness through simple glimpse practices, as he describes in his new book, The Way of Effortless Mindfulness, which I have on my countertop right now. Loch is not just a wonderful and highly sought after meditation teacher, he's also a licensed psychotherapist, the founder of the nonprofit Open Hearted Awareness Institute. He has worked in community mental health, taught meditation in New York City hospitals. He collaborates with neuroscientists at Yale, the University of Pennsylvania, and NYU in the study of how awareness training can enhance compassion and well-being. So that is the fantastic Loch Kelly, who is going to be leading us through some practice and then answering our questions. So, Loch, do you have anything to say before we dive into practice? Normally we do about 30 minutes of practice, then we do Q&A. Does that still sound okay with you? You're muted, Loch, sorry.
Yes, that sounds great.
Okay, anything you want to say before we start, or do you want to just?
Yeah, I mean, I'll say very little because I want to give you guys a chance to sit, and then I'll kind of talk and point and do more glimpses as I dialogue with you. So this one will be, kind of a good one that starts where most meditation starts. I call it the 5 formless forms, or the 5 supports of dynamic stillness. So you can do it eyes open or closed, whatever you like. So let's just find a comfortable way of sitting, and I'll just guide, maybe 5-6 minutes and then let you sit. Yeah. So just set it up. So in some ways, guidance is not guiding your small self and not guiding your meditator. It's really that I'm talking to your true nature and talking to your awareness itself. So with that said, we can just begin to find a comfortable way of sitting. And the first formless form or dynamic stillness is the sense of your body resting on a cushion or chair, and just feel the gravity. And just settle in whatever way is comfortable for you. Feel the support, the pressure, the weight, and the sense of kind of mountain stillness. Maybe letting your spine be easy, almost like it's a stack of coins. And letting your shoulders and body hang almost like a hanger with gravity. And you let your body be easy and open as breath naturally comes and goes by itself. And just notice first this kind of earth or stillness, sitting, mountain, stillness. And then begin to notice your breath at your belly or chest. Just kind of an easy movement, a kind of flow, almost like water or like a wave, just from stillness and then arising and relaxing like a breeze, like a wave. So still and dynamic. And notice the depth of the breath, the depth of the wave that moves from stillness to flow. And then just begin to notice the awareness that's aware. And then just noticing a little more subtle dynamic movement outside and in, sensations, thoughts, feelings, mental events, emotions, energy and motion. Just notice the coming and going, arising and passing of the contents. Notice the breath, the air, the invisible air and space outside that comes in and inside that goes out. And then simply shift from noticing the contents and the changing, pleasant and unpleasant, maybe tiredness or comfortable or uncomfortable. Just open curiously to the context, to the space, silence, and then to the awareness that's aware of what's coming and going. The awareness that's equally inside and out. And just let go into that awareness, noticing whether it's effortlessly aware without your help. Just curiously feeling that it's not coming and going, that it isn't tired or sleepy or in pain. And that has no boundary. If you explore it both within, at the subtlest dimension, and opening out to open mind, open heart. Notice the boundless open field of awareness that you can become aware of, and then be curious, am I aware of that spacious awareness? Or what's it like when I'm aware from and as that spacious awareness. And start to notice the relationship between that awareness and the aliveness of movement. Notice whether you can perhaps at first notice the almost like a big sky awareness in which vibration, sensation, movements coming and going. And then just curiously, from this awake field of awareness, just wait to see whether the next movement of sensation, vibration, or thought is actually made of, arising from, and not separate from the awareness. See whether you feel more like an ocean of awareness that's arising as particles and waves. It's like a dancing emptiness. It's equally inside and out, interconnected, not just in front and above, but equally all around, and even noticing the awareness that has your back. The open. So moving from that awake space to the awake, dynamic, inseparable pair of awareness and aliveness, to a flowing, interconnected sense of all at onceness. And just curiously, where are you aware from? What's here now when there's no problem to solve? And from this awareness, just feel the relationship to movement, sound, inner and outer experience. And then just rest as this.
Loch, I see you're speaking, but you're muted.
So as you, just in the next minute, just allow yourself to take a little deeper breath and enjoy. And as you do, just noticing the contents of your consciousness coming and going. And then just curiously opening to the context, to the awareness, both as the subject and the object. Noticing any points of view that arise, any formations, mental events, or managers or meditators, just allowing them to be observed. So what was the observer becomes observed by this effortless, always awake. Spacious and pervasive, multidimensional awareness that's arising as this aliveness. So just taking your time, and just as you're including all your senses, equal rights for all senses. So even as you, if you've had your eyes closed, just remain kind of dropped down and back and welcoming, so that when your eyes open, you don't pop back up. Just let your eyes be soft and receptive like your ears. Stay home in this field of consciousness. And really make that transition from sitting, eyes closed, to eyes open, to beginning to include listening, understanding without creating an understander. And even if you find a interest in saying something, even speaking from kind of your heart mind or your sense of the all at onceness that doesn't require creating a self-referencing mini-me. So shall we open it up to get any reports or feedback or comments, questions?
Yes. Thank you, Loch. Thank you for that.
Yep.
So the way we normally do this is if someone has a question, a comment, something they'd like to direct to you, I just ask that they raise their hand, their flesh and blood hand, and then I'll call on them and they can ask. If their camera is off, or if for whatever reason they don't feel comfortable speaking on camera like that, they're welcome to send a chat privately to me, and then I will read the question or comment on their behalf. So if that works for you, Loch,
Yes.
then let's go ahead and get started. So let's see those hands, people. Bijan.
So thank you, Loch, very much for joining us and for that very really cool and interesting guiding. I will say, as I feel like I missed the latter half of it, in the sense that there were more words washing over than any meaning behind the words, and so that was an interesting sensation. My question, I guess I had a question prepared from before, So I might just ask that now, and while I'm just thinking about the last 30 minutes. But looking at all these small things that you have come up with, I was curious where that comes from, or where how you come up with all these small like these insight practices and things like that. Do they come from your own, like while you're doing your own insight practice, or is it more of an analytical thing after the fact? They're very effective and very good at what they do. So I'm curious of what the circumstances of their creation are.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it just began by, probably like many people, kind of listening to teachings, learning systems, and saying, okay, how do you do it? Okay, I'll do it your way. Okay, now I'll try a different system. Okay, now I'll try a different system. Then listening to, like, where are we going and what's the goal and what's the purpose? And then starting to get a feel for each one, and then kind of finding, experientially comparing. So, like, scientifically, but as much experientially as intellectually. And then as I started to get some more experience and some more advanced teachings, I started to, it's almost like awareness started showing itself to itself. It's like, oh, now I'm contracted and identified. Oh, now I'm open and aware. Oh, now I'm aware of the contents. Oh, now the contents are arising as the ocean of awareness. All right, so now I'm back here. Okay, let's see how do I lose it? I started following, like, how do I get identified again? How do I go from a meditation to, and what does that feel like? They're calling it this, they're calling it small self or small mind, or like, wait and see. Now, ready? Oh, boom. And then a little mini me, oh, that's what that is. Now, how do I get back there? I can sit and wait. Muddy water, let stand, becomes clear. Okay. Or I can let awareness just be identified, open, be identified, drop. And all of a sudden, kind of the contents of consciousness, almost like learning anything else, like a sport or something that has certain movements to it, and then you can adapt, or like a dance, you can kind of start to freestyle. But you're looking for what's balance, what's inclusion, what's freedom, what's connection, what's true about love, and where am I aware from? How does that change everything? So it started to become this kind of inquiry. And then I started saying, oh, well, yeah, so this system goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. What if I just go to 6 and 7? And then finding out that some people are more kinesthetic style starters. Some people are more emotional, more intellectual, more visual, more auditory. So I started to kind of play with the different doors of how to shift from what seems to be ordinary consciousness or everyday mind into subtle mind or mindful awareness, into kind of pure awareness, and then from pure awareness into this simultaneous mind, which is this inseparable pair of awareness and aliveness, interconnectedness, and then into this kind of heart mind that has this multidimensional, and you can walk around in awake consciousness with this sense of kind of unconditionally loving presence, kind of bodhicitta. So that was it, trusting, all the information from the different wisdom traditions, and then understanding, like a scientific or like a recipe for a, certain thing you're cooking. Like you try it out in a restaurant and you say, like, oh, that's a little too much. I see where they're trying to get. Let me combine it differently. Ah, there it is. So something like that.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciated the description.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thanks, Locke. Thanks,
Yeah.
Bijan. Other questions for Locke? I saw Matthew, and then I saw Michael. So let's go with Matthew first.
Hi, Locke. Thanks for joining us. So I'm only a little bit familiar with the stuff you do, and thank you for guiding that. And I've looked at, I got your book, but I've only read a little bit at this point. So one of the questions I have is there, you know, at sort of at your stage, is there ever actually like a use for sort of ego self or small consciousness, or can you pretty much just do everything without that? I think we tend to think like, oh, I have to, you know, I need that for certain things.
Yeah.
And then the other thing, based on what you just said, was you mentioned all these types of the heart mind and the pure awareness and I'm kind of, is there like a hierarchy there, or are there certain ones that are side by side as you view it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So, I'll say the thing about, there's almost a progression, but then you can go different ways and different styles for like subtle mind, or you can go subtle body, like, you know, people who drop in and do more like, Om. You can calm the everyday mind by going subtle body, or you can step up and go subtle mind, and they're kind of parallel. They're similar. And then it's almost more like untying knots from consciousness, and then discovering the most essential, you know, pristine awareness, but then not stopping at pristine awareness, that realizing that if you stop at pristine awareness, there's still a kind of a dualism of a witness consciousness, and then aliveness. There's still, almost like I was pointing out, you can get caught in this big mindful witness that's a detached, disembodied. So the Mahamudra pointer is, there's this Rigpa, pure awareness, pristine awareness, that is an inseparable pair with aliveness, that they're not two, that there's not a, and so when that is like untied and discovered as the more natural, there's like a dropping back into including your body, and then you include what was the small self. So there's different ways of saying it, but you don't have to kill it, you don't have to get rid of it. It's kind of like the ego function has become for us the ego identity. So you just have it semi-retire from ego identity, and it still is a functional part of you that remembers information and can help you live this life from this more open-hearted, spacious, embodied mind that isn't small mind or small self. Then small self is like a part of you, like your hand or your digestive system. It's a functional part that knows where to put the key in the car and how to turn left, and it starts to become like just part of you. Does that make sense?
Yes, that makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Matthew. Thank you, Locke. Michael, I saw your hand. And again, if folks aren't comfortable speaking on camera or out loud, or they're just not naturally quick on the buzzer, as it were, please feel free to send a chat to me privately, and we can make sure to get your question answered as well. But in the meantime, Michael, please go ahead.
Thank you, Locke. I very much have been enjoying your book. Question, and this refers to the meditation we just did.
Yeah.
Even when sort of dropping into that spacious awareness,
Yeah.
there's for things that are taking place outside of the body, outside of mental events, in the sense thoughts or emotions, it tends to creep in as awareness will move to a sound outside, or some other outside phenomena. That there's a bit of a sense of there. And my general practice is more deliberate mindfulness. I believe that's the term you coined in your book. But I don't know if is that a leftover that's sort of noting and watching your experience, and that gives a small sense of something is there as opposed to something being just awareness?
Yeah, that's one way to say it. So, yeah, I mean, the term effortless mindfulness and deliberate mindfulness comes from one of my teachers, Toko Urgen Rinpoche, who said there's two kinds of mindfulness, deliberate and effortless. And in Mahamudra, they have kind of a 4-stage progression of moving from one-pointedness to observing contents of consciousness to awareness of awareness itself to kind of same taste. So when you get to same taste or one taste, there's a feeling of being interconnected with the sound outside of you. You're appearing in your own, the mind of awareness, which feels like it's everywhere. It's neither here nor is it in a mindful point of view. So when you're watching your breath, your meditator is most people's in the center of your head. And if you become aware of that one location of your breath, and then notice that you can focus your attention on your belly in this one area, and then you just curiously say, well, where are you focusing from? Where's the focuser? You pop into the kind of mindful witness that then can observe, wherever you feel like it's looking from, it's feeling, thoughts, feelings, sensations, 4 foundations. And then effortless mindfulness is not pulling the camera back to big sky mind or choiceless awareness, but eventually turning awareness back through the meditator to discover that this whole field of kind of controlling consciousness, trying to control it through this conditioned consciousness, which a mindful witness is even, you open it to that which is already aware. And then you're aware from there, you're actually more embodied because you actually start to feel your body from within your body. And you feel like hearing is happening, like there's neither a hearer nor is there a labeling of anything. There's actually a letting go of labeling to this intelligence that lets the kind of the information that you have in conditioning kind of go into the background like a flow consciousness or a flow state. So you're optimally functioning, feeling interconnected, but it's almost like all at once. It's like a panoramic awareness, like you would when you're driving a car. You're not going like, what's that? What's that? What's that? What's that? You're kind of taking it all in experientially, and it feels like it's of one taste. And that lets you kind of drop into this kind of new safety, feeling of non-fear, because there's not a protection of the animal body or the mental body from outside inside. It feels like a Tai Chi master. You kind of go right into Tai Chi master mode where you're connected to everything in a safe way that you can respond, but not have to pinpoint or particularize everything, which is kind of the first move from being too identified. Then you step back and label, then you open up to that greater Rigpa mind or awareness mind that then knows kind of directly from within and all around whatever you know.
Thank you for that. Thank you.
Yeah, does that make sense?
Yes.
You have a sense of that? Yeah.
Yeah, I do. It's just there's this sort of stubbornness to that little homunculus that kind of keeps focusing back outward and saying, "Oh, that's there." So,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, and that's, that's one of the systems of
mhm.
consciousness that in some ways you can even include it eventually. It's like, okay, go ahead, you look, I'm connected to everything, but if you want to keep doing this thing out there, in there, label, it's like, I'm with you, I'm including you. You can have any feeling you want, you can have any, and then they kind of relax and go like, oh, I don't have to do that. Like there's some bigger intelligence that's like it can retire a little bit. Yeah. And then and then you realize, well, I already know it's out there and I don't have to think about thinking to know it.
Got it. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Michael. Thanks, Loch. So I have a question here that came to me through the chat, and I'll just read the question as is. The question is, they mentioned that you were kind of speaking to it just now, but they still felt there was worth it asking the question. Are we supposed to change our view so that we start to identify as big sky mind, or is that awareness naturally agentless?
Yeah. So that's, that's the premise of kind of the direct path, or this more North Indian, some Zen, Tibetan Bon view, that there's already an awareness that's aware without our help. And that in some ways it's the key is almost this figure ground shift. The story of the Buddha doing all these extreme, intense yoga and meditation practices, and then he finally sits down and frustrated and remembers back to being a child on a summer day, just sitting against a tree and having this feeling of non-grasping, non-worry, contentment, okayness, interconnectedness, bliss, freedom. So the sense that it was natural and untrained, he hadn't trained in anything yet, and it was just took like a little relaxation. It wasn't effortful, it was more of a effortless, relax into that, but more importantly, into that which is effortlessly embodied and interconnected. So there's so that's the premise of this method. Is it's already here. You don't have to develop it or create it. You don't have to become an Olympic athlete of meditation. And so this approach is small glimpses many times during the day, and just learning to return to this fullness, and then training to remain. And then the neuronal network gets on board, and that small doer and ego becomes a function, and then it becomes this kind of seamless awakened consciousness, which is the goal, is to live, is not to become a good meditator, but to live an awakened life with your eyes open, walking around, doing tasks, having relationships. So it's not a renunciation path, it's a direct path. That there was a period of time in North India where they say that all these people, just people in these cities, were teaching each other how to do it, and all awakening very quickly from this Sutra Mahamudra, which is kind of where the Sutra tradition of Theravada came together with the Mahayana tradition and started this Mahamudra, which then was taken up by Tibetans. So Tibetans didn't create the Mahamudra, they took it up from the North Indian. So this big sky awareness, one of the keys for a lot of people is moving from, a point of view meditator to opening up, pulling the camera back to being like choiceless awareness or big sky mind or open awareness. But if if thoughts and feelings are coming and going as they were in the first stage of the 4 foundations of effortless mindfulness, then you're still in a meditator, or what I call, you got caught in the witness protection program. So you're still a witness of contents, and there's 2 things going on. There's the awareness and the aliveness, and they're 2. So the not two, the non-dual, some people actually in more Advaita schools say, oh, there's dualistic mind, and then pure awareness is non-dual awareness. But in Buddhism, it actually is, no, pure awareness is nature of mind, or pristine awareness. And then when that pristine awareness realizes it's not other, that it's arising as aliveness, then what emptiness means is interdependent origination. Emptiness is not absence or void or nothing. It's interdependent, which means interconnected, which means there's no separate thing in itself. A flower is not a flower without water and sun and earth. So the feeling is not, big sky is not the end. The feeling is this, oh, awareness, interconnected, multidimensional field of unity and emptiness, which is full, and a kind of intelligence that doesn't have to label and go to self-referencing, doesn't have to create a manager in the head. And that's discovered by letting go or untying into these natural dimensions of consciousness, and they could unfold by themselves just by sitting. I haven't seen it that much. I find more people can do it by pointing, because it just, especially if you're doing it in the middle of a daily life rather than a monastery. But that's the idea, is that there is a natural awake consciousness that's this far away. And if you, the Tibetan word for meditation is familiarize. So you recognize, realize, familiarize, and then lose it. And then no big surprise, just re-recognize. Start to talk and walk, lose it, go back to the old system, no big surprise, re-recognize, come back, start to speak, walk, talk, create, relate, lose it, come back, go back to this other system, this consciousness system, emotional, shut down, overwhelm, open, include the overwhelm from the embracing kind of open-hearted awareness, let it kind of shake and bake, liberate through you. And but it, so it's a dance, but it is really not creating it, it's discovering it, uncovering.
Thank you, Loch. So I have here on the chat, I have a comment here, not a question. If the person who gave me the comment wants me to share their name, they can chat me that. Otherwise, I'll keep it anonymous. I'll just share it because I just thought it was nice.
Wait, is it me by any chance?
It was you, yes. Would you like? Okay.
Yeah, I'm happy to. I don't have a question, so I wasn't really going to raise my hand. But
yeah.
I've read both of your books, The Way of Effortless Mindfulness and Shift into Freedom, and both of these books have helped me accelerate my spiritual development and my meditation practice tremendously. So I just wanted to thank you for writing these books and helping me along my path. I very much appreciate it.
Yes, thank you so much. Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, it's a labor of love. It's really kind of translating and trying to make something ineffable, palpable and learnable and teachable, because it's so amazing. Once you get that it's not easy, it's like so unusual at first, like what? And then once you get it, it's like, oh my God, that is so simple.
Yeah.
Like, what's all the rest of this stuff about, right?
Yeah, when I try and teach like my family members or other friends, it is very hard to string together like what the experience is like in like a stepwise fashion. And because I kind of equate it to like a fitness regimen or having a personal trainer. A personal trainer can physically show you how to do certain things, right? But a spiritual teacher, all the work is internal. So I can't sit here and be like, watch me meditate, look how I do things inside.
Right.
So, yeah, thank you again.
Yeah, and there's a couple little, like with most beginner meditation I've taught for many years, basic mindfulness, deliberate mindfulness, shamatha, vipassana, insight meditation, New York Insight. So that, you're like, let your attention focus on your breath, and when it wanders, bring it back. So those all things are all like understood, but like, one of the meditations that people find effective is, you almost start with the premise, well, awareness is showing up as thoughts, and it's constellating, your consciousness is constellating in this pattern that creates a thinker, but your awareness can actually not look down to your body, but you can unhook and drop the center from head to heart mind. So why don't we all try this for a second? Yeah. So that's the premise. The premise is that the suffering is from a small sense of self, and that self is just one pattern of consciousness created by the senses kind of organizing, coming to, in Buddhism, what is called the sixth sense, which thinking is the sixth sense, but then it self-references. But when you recognize the awake consciousness, it has no center. It's not in your head. You're headless, or your head is equal to your feet. So we're just going to have this local awareness, which is, kind of a focusing agent of the awake consciousness. Just focus on the thoughts and the thinker, and then see what it's like if the awareness opens up, just lets go, steps out. And then what is it like if that bubble of awareness, like the center, can feel your jaw and your smile directly from within your body? And then feel as if you're not moving the awareness, but the awareness is moving itself to know your throat and your neck directly from within your neck. So just notice that you don't have to go back up to check whether you're knowing, and you're not looking down, and you're not stretching attention down, but you literally are moving awareness to this field of awareness that now is feeling your throat from your throat. And now feel as if awareness moves itself somehow, dropping to feel your body directly from within your upper body. So this is embodiment, not looking from your head, but feeling within, and then drop kind of behind and below your emotional heart till you find kind of a heart space, kind of a safe space somewhere in the center of your body. And just be aware of this heart space, and then go deep within the cells, the atoms, to find that pure awake consciousness that's in that aware space. And as you open to be aware of it, start to be aware from it. So you may find it opens to a kind of more boundless heart, and you're not aware of it, but you're aware from this heart mind, almost like there's a periscope from your eyes, all information from the office of your head is just coming down by Wi-Fi to this more heart space. It could be your whole body too. And eventually it's not just here, it's actually this whole field of spacious, pervasive, interconnected. But the key is it's dropped and opened and inclusive. Once you drop, open, let the awareness open to the awareness that's already awake. And then from there, as that, it's arising like an ocean of awareness. And you're just staying home and including everything. So you're including your, you're not getting rid of your thoughts, but you're not orienting to thought to be alert. Right? Not pinpointing anything, not particularizing, but feeling like a panoramic embrace. So what do you notice from here? So if you stay here and speak or report or speak from here as this, from this, what's the new view? What's the new you? What's the qualities? What's absent? What's present? What do you notice? Anyone want to raise their hand and report or type something in? So the key is this is kind of the place you actually can walk around from, because your intelligence is poured back into the field. It's like a flow state. You're walking around, you're actually optimally functioning. You're not, zoned out. You're actually curiously interested and connected to everything. Yeah, what do you notice?
I noticed that I feel like everything, the scope of my attention is like wider, lighter, more vivid. And I do have like this, I think I'm like seated in like my knowing that I'm conscious to the point where I guess, again, it's kind of going back to the difficulty of putting things into words, but it's like, I know I'm the one looking at all of this stuff that I'm paying attention to. I'm the one behind it, but I'm not the stuff in front of it. And somehow it's like, it's freeing to be behind it rather than in it, so to speak, in some ways.
Right, meaning like immersed in it?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, so it kind of drops you back and down.
Mm-hmm.
So you get a, and the back is really kind of about a panoramic or a, opening, because everything is so forward like this, and we're always going out to grasp. What's that? What's this? What's that?
Yeah, that's right.
And then scanning for danger. And if you drop out of that scanner, open up, then you're in this Tai Chi mode where things are actually starting to come to you. You're not going out to grasp. You're staying home, and you're also connected behind and within. And that's the feeling of where you're aware from has changed, and the non-thought based intelligence is the other marker. So that, and then feeling that ground quality that's not your body, that's not your thoughts, that's not it's the wholeness of here, now, everywhere, nowhere. Yeah. What else do you guys notice?
Loch, I wanted to just point out, I did see that Eva raised her hand when you asked for sort of reports. So if Eva wants to share, please go ahead, Eva.
Okay.
One thing that I've noticed is like the time has stopped.
Yeah.
And so like there is no sense of time and very still in that sense. It's not, nothing's moving, not like everything's stopped. We're still here and alive, but somehow it felt like very still and I don't know how else to say it. Time had stopped.
Yeah, so timeless, boundless, and you're looking from the dimension that doesn't come and go. So in a lot of initial meditations, you're looking at arising and passing, A and P, or coming and going. You notice change. You think you're a solid self. Then the first stage is notice that the thoughts that you thought you were a thinker, but now it's I think I'm a thinker. Notice they're coming and going, but now we're looking at the timeless, boundless dimension that doesn't come and go, that then is also dancing. But even when it's dancing, there's something still and silent and grounded.
Yes.
And not in time, yeah.
And another thing that came to my mind is like the feeling of bodhicitta.
Yeah. Yes.
So I was wondering if that's related.
Yes. Yeah. So that's certainly this is the door to what I call open-hearted awareness, or bodhicitta, or heart mind. Seems to be the goal, in meaning that it's not just neutral. It's not just absence of suffering, but it's the flourishing of positive qualities. And the primary, almost like fabric of reality, is this interconnection with everything that feels friendly, and then it feels like unconditional love or compassion if there's someone else there. And that's kind of a natural part of the ground, bodhicitta. And
is that the same thing? For me, bodhicitta kind of has some solid feeling to me. But then,
like ground? Yeah.
But the awareness doesn't have the same quality. But the funny thing is, it feels like the same. So
yeah, it is. So that's the thing about what you described as initially timeless and still. So there's something about the awareness that when you first think of it, you think of it as space or invisible, but then you realize, oh, well, if it's not coming and going, it's equally outside and within. It's the boundless ground of everything. So all of a sudden, people say, well, how do you feel? They say, I feel grounded. I feel here. I feel like still, okay, what's the ground made of? And they'll eventually say awareness or something like that. Emptiness, nothing. So they start to be the same.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I think I got it.
Yeah, it's kind of a new flavor of it. It's a little more like, oh, right. Because we get an idea of like, oh, awareness is like pure and invisible and like sky, like things can go through it. But it's actually the ground of everything, and everything's arising from it. So then it's like here, and it's everywhere. It's all at onceness. So there's a timeless quality, is like all times at once. Now. So now is not the present moment. The present moment is this, and now is not the present time either. There's past, present time, future time. The now is aware of the three times.
Like the eternity.
Like eternal now. But it's also here. But it's not present time, and it's not present moment. It's like the time-space dimension of awareness, here-ness. So yeah, so that's a little, thank you for that. That's
Thank you.
beautiful.
Thank you both. And thank you, Roshan. I have a question here that came in, and I'll just read it. What might an awakening mean or look like for us?
Yeah, so, so awakening, has different definitions and different traditions. For me, it's awakening from the kind of small, separate sense of self that feels separate and dualistically viewing that's just identified with a separate creature and mind, and awakening from is the first one. So awakening from to realize, oh, that's not the only way to view, and that's not the only me. So what was the observer or the identity becomes observed. So that's kind of a mindfulness, basic mindfulness, 4 foundations of mindfulness awakening. That you're not your thoughts, you're not the thinker. And then awakening to this kind of greater mind or heart mind or awareness-based knowing that is prior to thought, like in children. And then we develop thinking and analysis and compare and contrast as a functioning animal to live, not dependent, but live by ourselves. And then awakening to the next stage of consciousness of awareness-based flow that's open-hearted, open-minded, and doesn't center itself in just your body and mind, particularly your thoughts. So you awaken to this greater, already installed operating system of awake, open-hearted consciousness, that everything's easy. There's a little low-level bliss in the body. There's a sense of non-fear, non-worry, non-shame. But this definition of awakening has very fullness of emotions and feeling and engagement that arise and come and go. And so it's awakening from a small sense of self to an awareness-based, embodied, interconnected feeling of being. And so that, just having a glimpse of that is kind of this approach, is let's see if you can just have a glimpse. Let's not try to sustain it first. Just show yourself what's here. One of the first teachers of Dzogchen, Garib Dorje, said there's 3 things to learn. This can be summed up in 3 points. The first one is directly recognize your true nature. So that's what we're doing. This is kind of thought-based nature, and then recognize your true nature. And then the second point is decide for yourself it's true. So then from the new knowing, you decide it's valuable, it's true, it's you, it's real, it's relieves suffering, it's true. And then proceed with trust in spontaneous unfolding. So then it just becomes an unfolding process, that these small glimpses of awakening just give you this insight and this new foundation. His ability to live a life that isn't rooted in suffering and contraction.
Thank you, Loch. It's on the East Coast, it's 8:23. We generally go till about 8:30. I was about to ask if anyone had one final question, and lo, one did arrive. So it came, Frederic, I saw your hand, but I'm sorry, you were beaten to the punch on the chat. I apologize. Okay, so once again, I'll just read it. Can you ask if pointing out instructions are exclusively person to person? If not, what are good resources of pointing out in his opinion? If so, how do more people have access to this?
Right. Yeah, I say, yeah, I don't think they are necessarily person to person. People have spontaneous awakenings that kind of something points out their true nature. I've had people read books and do like someone was saying today, like they read a book, they read it and did it for themselves, then they told somebody else, and then that person didn't quite understand it, but they did something else. And then they said, oh man, that thing you taught me, that you tried to, I didn't quite get it, but then I tried it on my own and it really worked well. Here's what it is. And then they go like, that's not it at all. So it's a way of navigating this consciousness that has pointers, and you can self-point, just like you can have teacher inquiry, you can have self-inquiry, you can have peer inquiry, where you kind of read. I have these, like peer inquiries where people pair off and ask a pointer to somebody just sitting there. They don't even know what they're going to say, and the person doesn't know. And you just say something like, what's here now when there's no problem to solve? And then you learn the basics of how to be pointed to, or how to receive the pointing, or how to look, really. So something like that we can play with. What's here now when there's no problem to solve? So you can't look, first you understand the language, what's here now when there's no problem to solve, but then you have to let go of the language and let awareness, let the problem solver relax and feel what's here. What's here now, just now when there's no problem to solve. And then what's it like to be aware as this and from this awareness-based knowing? And then what's the relationship between that which is here and thoughts, feelings, and the world? And then where are you aware from? So you can see that it really is, once you get a feel of what constricts and what awakening is, and what the knots are and how to untie them, and where to go and what to look with, which is awareness rather than thought, then you can self-point and create pointers or read a pointer, or yeah.
Thank you very much. So I think we'll end here, just because there's usually a few minutes of spiel that ends up happening for us to wrap. And I don't want to keep you late, Loch. So thank you so much. On behalf of everyone here, it's clear to me that people got a ton of benefit out of your being with us and sharing these teachings with us today. So once again, the Donna link is in the chat. I am going to repost it if you will all give me a second. Let me find that. Here it is. So here's the Donna link. If you found these teachings, what Loch shared with us, valuable, I would encourage you to consider offering Donna donations made in the spirit of generosity, gratitude, and it's a good way to cultivate your own positive qualities too. So feel free to give Donna selfishly as well. It will cultivate your own paramis, your own spiritual perfections. Here is the link for that. Once again, feel free to join us on Slack and hang out and yak with us about meditation whenever you like. Here again is the Slack link. sit-heads.com is the website. Please feel free to join us. We're offering some interesting things. There's a new service that we're rolling out called Sitting Circles. That's a way to help people stick to a daily meditation practice by forming into small groups that commit to sit together on video chat every day as a way to provide some healthy social accountability to sit consistently. If you have trouble sticking to your daily sit, this is a thing that can help you. Like everything we do, it's free and donation based. Sit-heads.com. Loch Kelly can be found at Loch Kelly, LOCHKELLY.org. Loch, thank you again. Please hang out for a sec because I think you and I were going to chat afterwards.
Yeah.
And thank you everybody for joining us. Loch, any last things you want to say before we go?
No, just enjoy, and just that awakening is a natural human potential. It's worth playing with and not being too serious, but being kind of committed to its unfolding. So enjoy and have a great holiday.